Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bender, Ash Paulson, and from GameXplain North, Tom Arnold, to discuss even more of Nintendo's 2014 year in review, this time touching on Amiibo, DLC, and more. So let's get started. Now, something else big that happened this year is Amiibo. And so far, that seems to be a pretty big success story for Nintendo. I believe they sold basically like the same amount of Amiibo as it did copies of Smash Bros. Wii U. In the first few weeks already, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, I guess, do you guys have any thoughts on Amiibo and how they've been implemented and their just overall performance so far?
I like how well it's doing for Nintendo. I mean, it's selling gangbusters. You're seeing resales. You're seeing it's sort of like a Wii situation where there's so little on the market right now. They're getting bought up so quick. The resale prices are insane. As far as the actually using the figures themselves, I'm becoming less and less impressed with them as the weeks go by.
Ooh.
I used it with Hyrule Warriors. I've used it a little bit with Smash Brothers, but I was at first I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to pick up a bunch of these. But as the weeks go by, and no more games are really getting supported by them. Like they promised Captain Toad support with the Amiibos, and we have no idea what the hell they do yet.
Right.
And the game's been out for how many weeks?
Maybe Nintendo doesn't either. Just figured it out.
Exactly. So it's sort of like they're cool little figures, and they've become quite the collectible. But as far as their intended purpose as something to expand on games, it's kind of failing on that front, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, Derek. I mean, they still appeal to me as collector's items. I actually just picked up a Zelda Amiibo today because Wave 2 Amiibo are already proving to be hard to find. But so as collector's items, I'm loving them. And I'm actually have gotten a lot more use out of them for Smash Bros. Than I ever thought I would. To be fair, not at all for the way Nintendo intended. I'm basically using them to farm things, like farm custom equipment and gold, and I just leave the game on and have them fight their own battles, and they just come back with all these gifts. It's great. I'm basically, I'm running slave labor here, but so I'm sure that's not how they intended for people to use them in Smash Brothers, but I have actually gotten a lot of use out of them. But I do agree that as the days go by, there's less and less to be excited about in terms of their uses for actual gameplay, but they may surprise us early next year and talk about, hey, they do this in Captain Toad, they do this in Mario Party 10, and they do this in Woolly World, and we're all going to be like, oh, this is awesome. But until then, I definitely think they are more appealing as collector's items. But in that sense, I think Nintendo has done a great job. I mean, look at how well they're selling, and like you said, Andre, the resale value they're commanding is just crazy.
Oh yeah, it's I mean that and the GameCube adapter. Yeah. It's pretty nuts. Well, I have friends, like you guys mentioned them being collectibles, and I have friends who are buying them purely, almost exclusively for that purpose. Like one of them displays all his Amiibo on his work desk, and he doesn't really use them much in game. But I guess so far there's really not much use for them. Like I had some fun with the Amiibo at first, and then I just kind of grew bored of the idea. It's like I'd rather just play against people. So.
Hyrule Warriors, I unlocked my spinner weapon, and I was done.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise they're just elaborate unlockables. Which, I mean, again, I have mixed feelings on it. Like, it's cool that they give you these bonuses, but they have nothing to do with the Amiibo themselves, really. Right?
Right.
Like, the spinner is only so loosely connected to the Amiibo as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, I am curious to see what more they do with the Amiibo moving forward. And hopefully they do something, I mean, for lack of a better term, like closer to Skylanders, right? Like something that just makes them feel a little bit, have more presence, I guess.
They could create Amiiboverse.
That's actually pretty great. I would not mind that at all.
You're right. I think they do need to make a game like that. I mean, Josh was talking about that himself, that he feels more connected to it, his figures from Skylanders and Disney Infinity, because he can use them and sees them progress and has them in those games. And thinking about it myself, I think I would be much more inclined to buy more of these if they were used in a specific game, like Disney Infinity or Skylanders. And to have a game like Disney Infinity, except with Nintendo characters, again, awesome. People love these types of crossovers, to see all these characters interacting. If Smash isn't evident, and of course having Link in Mario Kart 8 isn't evident, this type of crossover stuff sells gangbusters. And I think they really do need a game that capitalizes on that.
Yeah, they really need something. They almost need like an Animal Crossing for Amiibo. Like something where you're encouraged to bring your own Amiibo to other people's places, scan them in, and it either changes the gameplay or offers them some kind of benefit. Like something, really some kind of like community based around the Amiibo. And maybe Animal Crossing Wii U will play into that, actually, assuming they're making it, which I feel like they almost have to.
Yeah, I think they're definitely making Animal Crossing with the Wii U. I think they actually just they teased Animal Crossing news coming early next year, so yeah, they've got to be making it. And I would be shocked if it didn't make heavy use of the amiibo.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I know this idea wouldn't sell at all, except I would buy it. How about a game where you're Doc Lewis and you train a little Mac amiibo?
That would be pretty great.
Game.
I would love to have a new Punch-Out, and that'd be a nice little feature to have within the game.
That's actually an awesome idea, I think, is having a game, basically having a game based around the idea of Amiibo and Smash Brothers, but basing a game around it, where instead of you go through the environment, you train the character on how to go through the environment. And, I don't know how you can make that fun, but if anyone could pull it off, I'm sure it'd be Nintendo. And that would be really cool to see, have you train this character, I guess basically using the Punch-Out analogy, you are a trainer, right? And you're training this character to deal with this world that you normally would yourself, but you can't anymore.
You can only guide it.
Oh, dear God, I just had an idea.
Okay.
Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
What if they implemented the whole amiibo idea where you get a Pokemon, you train it up, you take it to your friends, basically a Pokemon Stadium game that utilizes amiibos. And in that way, and you train them in that way, and have them do their own little customizable things, and the battles are a little bit more intensive.
Oh, that's actually where you don't necessarily have direct influence on the battle.
Exactly, you have to do that. You do the same sort of training stuff, and the battles are a lot more dynamic. You can teach them how to dodge and stuff like that, but you have no direct control. You just have to train them, and then you go against other trainers with your amiibos.
Oh, that would actually be kind of awesome. I mean, I guess that is, again, kind of like Smash Brothers, but I think that'd be way better with,
But it really fits in within the Pokemon mythos, and, well, really, right there is 719 different figures they could make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, my poor Gadge, my friend, who's already buying all the amiibo as is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine collecting all
Tell
those?
me that wouldn't be popular.
God, that would legitimately be amazing. If you could have a team, just like Pokemon, have a team of 6. You get a little belt where you keep your amiibo on, and you go over, you
throw them, and then they break, so you have to buy it again.
Oh, that would seriously be amazing. If they do release a small army of it, at least a collection in the size, along the same size as Smash Brothers, where everyone has their own teams, really. And that would actually be really cool. And I think it would be cool if if maybe they weren't completely autonomous, if you could have some influence, but that could play a role in it too, how well they listen to you or respond to you, right? It could tie into the whole. I guess it would be similar in some way to what's that rating they have in Pokemon, the connection you have or to your Pokemon.
Friendship.
Yeah, friendship, right?
Right.
I mean, that really is the perfect way of doing it.
And it would sell gangbusters. It would totally sell gangbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I would venture as far to say that I'm almost certain they are at least in the planning stages of something very similar to what we've been talking about just now. I almost want to say that the Amiibo are almost a vehicle for an eventual Pokemon game, just because it makes so much business sense.
It does.
I mean, it's basically Skylanders, but with something that's a lot more popular than Skylanders, which is Pokemon. I mean, that makes too much sense.
Exactly, because you don't even have to go with the whole 700 different figures idea. You could have just a different figure for each typing, and that's still 17 different types, I think, offhand. Maybe 18, I can't remember offhand. But still, that's 18 different figures. Each one unlocks a different set of Pokemon, every Pokemon within that, and maybe you have to have 2 different figures in order to unlock the multi-type Pokemon. So if it's psychic water, you have to have a psychic type and a water type, and that's even more of a devious money making thing. But I think that sort of thing has happened before. The Skylanders swap team, I think, has the same basic idea. So the idea has so much merit in terms of how they could really take these amiibos and make them truly evil in terms of collecting and making them people want them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if they don't marry it to Pokemon, which would be huge, given that I think Skylanders is what, $1 billion franchise now, and Pokemon, has been
$1 billion franchise.
At least I think it's been a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
That combination does seem like it would be lethal. But even if not, I think an idea similar to that, perhaps utilizing maybe a new IP, building their own version of Skylanders, their own take on it, using that idea. could also work, I think. But I think the fundamentals are sound. All right, do you guys have any final thoughts or ideas about 2014? Anything you want to mention yet at all about this year?
One
that
thing
we
for
haven't
me is
touched
I
on
think
yet?
we should mention really quick is how great Nintendo did in the indie space this year. They had a really strong lineup of indie titles for both the 3DS and Wii U throughout the year. Things like 1001 Spikes, Shovel Knight, Armillo, Tesla Grad. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse
was an excellent
I mean,
game.
I just think that we obviously don't have to belabor it too much, but they do, I think, deserve a small round of applause just for how much they've really been focusing on indies this year on top of everything else. And I mean,
I'm surprised you forgot Zeo.
Well, just because I just reviewed it, too recent, but Zeo Drifter as well. And I mean, one of those indies, Shovel Knight, was my and Tom's game of the year, so they definitely should not be overlooked.
No, and it's along those same lines. We should also probably commend Nintendo for how well they've handled DLC this year.
That really is a good point, actually.
That's a great point.
They started with Mario Golf, and it was so well implemented there. I mean, it was much better than their initial idea with, I think, the year before with New Super Mario Bros. 2, and like the level packs, which were okay, but not really consequential enough. But this year with Mario Golf, Mario Kart 8, Hyrule Warriors, there's so much content packed into these DLCs that you almost can't help but get them because there's so much value to it. It's just like, well, I don't want to miss out on it. There's so much there.
Yeah, I've loved how Nintendo's been handling DLC. They've done a great job, like adding extra content that's valuable at reasonable prices. Like it's
was it $13 for 16 tracks plus characters or something in Mario Kart 8?
I think it's
Like,
$12 actually. It's even less than that.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Canada. I'm sorry. Exchange rate.
No, look at Hyrule Warriors, a new adventure mode map with every set, plus new characters, new weapons, costumes, and all of this for a $20 total price. I mean, you can get them individually, but the $20 value is certainly, in my mind, the best way to go. And there's like hundreds of hours of content in that game.
Right.
It is ridiculous. Like, I have not even scratched the surface of that because I've been so busy with every other game.
Yeah.
Well, you actually reminded me of something there. Like, Nintendo actually seems to be following a model here, where they're basically doubling the content of almost every game. You have Hyrule Warriors with new adventure mode. You have Mario Golf, which doubled the amount of courses in the game, as I recall. You have Mario Kart 8, which doesn't quite double it, not yet at least, but it's like half the amount of courses for a very reasonable price. And then before this, we had New Super Luigi U, which is also a brand new adventure, mostly. Again, at a pretty reasonable price, which is kind of an interesting thing to do. I don't think any other company has like gone that far that consistently.
So, Andre, are you saying that by this time next year we're going to have 102 characters in Smash Brothers and like 92 stages?
Only if we wanted to kill Sakurai.
Right. I do hope that next year at this time we're talking about how awesomely priced the Smash 64 stage pack was, though. Or the missing stages from Smash Brothers Brawl stage pack, something like that.
Or the Smash Brothers 3DS stage pack.
Or that too, exactly.
Yeah.
I do hope we're having that discussion sometime next year.
I'd be totally down for that. The game is already a great value as is. I mean, that's a weird thing. Like, a lot of people would have. I wonder if some people have issues with that. Like, why wasn't this game originally? It's like, well, the game was a great value already. I'm more than happy paying on top of that for even additional content that adds value.
Well, the only time Nintendo's had DLC ready to go when the game came out is Mario Golf, and even that took a few weeks.
Right.
For the most part, it's taken like a half a year to have this content ready to go. So it's obvious that the game is complete. It's not on disc, and they're just waiting for you to unlock it. No, this is stuff that they've been developing in conjunction, and they made a complete game first. And okay, now we're going to add a bunch of the stuff on here to make the value even better.
Yeah, not a 1 kilobyte unlocked download that costs you $15.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that wraps up for us here. So thanks, guys, for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below. It's a good way to keep up to date on everything we post, and of course keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Nintendo in 2015, including our upcoming discussion and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.